It's 7:08 now. So why don't we, Mary, you ready to get started?
I am ready.
All right. So, all right, everybody. Thank you for joining us. And I'm so happy and pleased to have Mayor Rilling join me tonight on our weekly Facebook Live. He's going to bring a lot of good points and be able to answer some questions. So I'll be flipping through as I usually do with questions as people are asking them and things like that. So just bear with me while I do a quick update as well, and be looking for that. So anyway, again, thank you for joining me tonight. It is a pleasure to see all of you. So here's our numbers, our latest numbers from the state of Connecticut as of this afternoon. We've had 26,767 people who have tested positive for COVID-19. 1,691 of them are hospitalized. 2,168 people have died, unfortunately, from COVID-19. We are seeing fewer hospitalizations for, I believe, the 5th day in a row now. That doesn't mean we can go back to normal anytime soon, but that does show a good trend, at least, that we have fewer hospitalizations right now. So we will continue to monitor that the best that we can, and continue to work through everything that we need to get done here in Connecticut. Locally in Fairfield County, we've had 10,985 people test positive, 591 have been hospitalized, and 774 people have died. Mayor Rilling might be able to give us the numbers for Norwalk as of today. We have 181 cases in Darien, 2339 in Stamford, 1870 in Bridgeport, 234 in Westport, 1352 in Danbury. I don't know if anybody saw the New York Times the other day. They had a report of the newest amount of deaths over the last 2 weeks and where they're coming from. And number one was New York City, because that's the biggest hotspot nationally. And number two was Fairfield County, unfortunately. Number three was Hartford County. Number four was Springfield, Mass area. Number five was Princeton, Trenton, New Jersey. And number six was New Haven County in Connecticut. So it still remains a hotspot here. It still remains an area where we need to be very careful. And I know Mayor Rilling is doing that, being very, very careful about all this. So I'll give you some good news is that the governor has reported that the state has received 2 million standard masks for essential workers and 100,000 N95 masks for first responders. He also announced a $3 million donation of personal protective equipment from Raytheon Technologies to Connecticut for use by first responders and healthcare professionals. Lego donated $1.1 million for COVID relief and $500,000 for the Hartford Foundation Relief Fund, and $600,000 for statewide efforts. So it's $1.1 million altogether, $500,000 for Hartford Foundation and $600,000 for statewide efforts. We appreciate that. Schools and non-essential businesses are still closed until May 20th. And I think the governor says that he plans on making an announcement about schools over the next couple of weeks or so. Again, we urge any travelers coming in from the region to quarantine for 14 days. And the Governor Lamont today is urging community stakeholders throughout the state including municipal officials, community-based organizations, nonprofit providers, philanthropic partners, to establish local long-term recovery committees that will help meet urgent needs, accelerate recovery, and expedite coordination with the state's emergency management structure in the ongoing response and recovery efforts for the COVID-19 pandemic. Governor Lamont is encouraging Connecticut residents to sign up for CT Alert, the state's emergency alert system, which provides text messages, notifications to users. All you got to do is text COVID CT to 888-777. Also, if you can, make sure that you sign up for How We Feel, which is right here. It's a great thing. And every time you check in, a meal is donated to someone, which is very helpful. But it's a way for scientists and others to track kind of maybe hotspots, track infections. It's done about as anonymously as possible. And you can just download it at the Google Play Store or at the App Store, Apple App Store. And it's really easy, and it takes less than 5 minutes do, and I do mine once a day. The governor also announced the Talk It Out hotline for parents and caretakers if you have stress and there's increased needs resulting from caring for your children during this crisis. Just go to talkitoutct.com and you can talk to somebody. It's available Monday through Friday, 8 to 8, and 1 p.m. to 8 p.m. on the weekends. Community colleges, state colleges, and UConn will be using online learning for the summer. And our primary has been postponed until August the 11th. Again, as you probably know, that Connecticut has joined a number of states with regard to reopening. There are very specific criteria to reopen the state, including 14 days of a downward trend of deaths and hospitalizations, mass screening, contact tracing and isolation, that there's enough PPE for folks, that we still do have continued physical distancing, and that our hospitals have to be back in service again for all their needs, not just for COVID right now. The good news is on the Department of Labor front is that we do expect that the unemployment applications to be moving forward. The $600 that people are going to be receiving from the federal government, increased $600, is paying out this week, which is very important. And if you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, you can start applying on April the 30th. Last thing, two more things I'll mention. One is that our demand for food is up 50% since early March. So if you can please donate to person, p2phelps.org. We have a very big problem right now with the food supply chain and the increased need right now. So if you can either donate food to person or and go to P2P Helps, they do help to get food out to other worthy organizations as well. We also have Open Door Shelter. We also have Fill in the Blanks and others that are very helpful. Last thing I'll mention, which I don't think I should have to mention to all of you especially, is that please do not ingest disinfectants or Lysol or anything like that. I know the mayor talked about that last night or Monday night on his Zoom as well. And so we just want to make sure we keep people safe. You'd be surprised the amount of people who ended up in the hospital or who have passed away because they ingested things that are not meant for human consumption. So anyway, with that, Mayor Rilling, let me pass it along to you. And if you want to provide any updates, feel free, then we'll take some questions.
Thanks, Senator. I'm glad you mentioned about the food shortage because there is a critical need for food here in the city of Norwalk. The food bank ran out of food at one point and was not able to supply food to some very needy people here in the city. The good news is that we this evening at around 9 o'clock, we should have a truck coming in from Pennsylvania with food on it. It was arranged with some local clergy and my wife who reached out and they hired a trailer to go out and pick up the food and they're bringing it back. Unfortunately, the trailer broke down halfway and they got it fixed, so it won't be coming in until 9 o'clock. And I want to give a shout out to Stu Leonard, who's allowing us to borrow one of his refrigerator trucks so we can keep the food overnight so it won't spoil. So it's critically important that if you can donate to the food bank or donate food and non-perishables, that you do so because there are a lot of hungry people in the area. In Norwalk, we have kept City Hall closed to the public, but all essential services are being provided. Now we also have, with the Common Council's support, have voted to allow taxes, property taxes, to be paid on October 1st as opposed to July 1st. And normally they're due on July 1st, but you have until August 1st to pay them without penalty. Now they're going to be due on October 1st. You can delay the payment of taxes without penalty. However, if you don't pay on October 1st, the interest goes back and the penalty goes back all the way to July 1st. We've had to make some very difficult decisions as we're coming into the warmer weather. We know people are frustrated. We know people want to get out and get some exercise and fresh air. So I have my city working on a transition plan so we can start to gradually ease some of the restrictions, but we have to be smart about it. We don't want to take our foot off the gas pedal right now because we've sacrificed so much and we've seen the results that social or physical distancing does work. And we're starting to see some results, but if we are too quick to go back to where we were, without doing so with listening to the medical professionals, we're going to have a problem that we don't want to have a second wave and end up worse off than we are now. So I'm asking again for the public's patience. I will be listening to the medical professionals. I talk weekly with my emergency team. We talk with the legislative delegation once a week to make sure that we're all on the same page and we're all sharing the same information. The Common Council is currently involved to a great degree in a lot of the decisions we're making. So it is a challenge. We did cancel the Memorial Day parade, and we also canceled the fireworks for July 3rd. When we have the fireworks, we generally get 20,000 people or more congregating at the beach in a small area. And we felt that it would be irresponsible to take a challenge like that, or to have a challenge like that. So unfortunately, we had to make that decision. People have asked about the summer concert series. They've asked about the Nice Festival. They've asked about the Oyster Festival. We're going to take those things one step at a time. We don't want to rush into closing anything or stopping something, but we're going to make sure we do it right and do it with the best interest of the health of the community in mind. We opened the boat launch this past weekend at Vets Park so that city residents could get their boats in the water and bring it over to their marina. We're going to do the same thing this coming weekend, Saturday and Sunday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. So that people can make appointments and come and drop their boat in the water. We know that people are getting excited about the boating season coming up, and we want to facilitate that as much as we possibly can. We also opened the yard waste site. It was closed for a while because our vendor, the people who come and take the yard debris away, couldn't take it away, and we were at maximum capacity. But we are opening it up and allowing people to drop stuff off, and we'll be collecting yard waste based on when your garbage collection is as well. We are doing our best to provide masks when needed, to first responders, to healthcare workers, to other people that need them. But we want to remind people that face coverings protect other people, not the wearer. We're going to put on our website the do's and don'ts of how to wear a mask. So people can make a mask or a face covering, but don't get a false sense of security that if you have a mask or a face covering, that it's going to prevent you from being exposed to the virus. That's simply not true. Just do all the universal precautions that work, keep that physical distance, and so forth. I know I get a lot of complaints about some of the local grocery stores, the larger stores. Senator Duff and I and my team reached out to the chief executive officers of ShopRite, Stop and Shop, Costco, Walgreens, Lowe's, and we had a conversation with them, and they have agreed, and they've been very cooperative, and Stu Leonard's, they've been very cooperative about implementing the kinds of things they need to implement. Many of them have lines of people queued up outside. They're being diligent about the 50% capacity and making people wear masks when they come in and keeping the physical distance. So everybody seems to be doing what they need to do, and we want to continue that. So at that point, I'll stop. I know I know the senator wants to have people asking questions, and we'll try to answer anything that we can.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor, and thanks for your help and your leadership on all these kinds of things. I don't think there's any training for pandemics coming to our state or our communities, and while a lot of these decisions are sometimes not always unanimous in how they are received, they're all very difficult to make. So it's difficult for you to make a decision to close a park, or it's difficult to make decisions, to close the yard waste site or other things. But then you have to be very careful about how you open those things as well. So I know that we want to say thank you because I think a lot of the work that was done in the city saved lives. And as we say a lot, that this virus is very contagious and is very deadly. And we need to make sure that people understand the seriousness of that as well, that this is a very contagious, very dangerous, and very deadly virus, and that we're not out of the woods yet. And if you just look at the stats I mentioned before from the New York Times, this is one of the hot spots in the country, unfortunately, for deaths. And
we are writing the manual as we go.
Yeah,
and
no,
this will be a guide. This will be a guidebook on how to in the future, and you can go back to this Spanish flu of 1918 and see some of the mistakes that were made. And I'm really saddened to hear that some areas are about to make the same mistake. Back in San Francisco in 1918, they opened it up too quickly, and it was a huge mistake. And the Spanish flu continued to spiral out of control. And so I hope that we can do things a little bit more intelligently now.
Well, what ended up happening is in Florida with the spring breakers, they ended up bringing COVID back to our area and around the country. Yeah. And also in places like Tennessee, where they opened up too early, they're now seeing their rates jump through the roof. So this is a very delicate balance. I think we all want to open things up as quickly as possible, but we have to be very careful. I will mention just a couple things, then we'll take some questions, is that remind folks, no play dates, no sleepovers, no getting together with friends. Don't cheat. It's very tempting to cheat. We all haven't seen our family in a very long time. We also probably all know people who have passed away.
Absolutely.
And I know at least 4 people. I'm sure the mayor knows many people as well. And every day he has to get the numbers and puts out that press release about the number of people who've passed away. So, and I know that weighs on him.
Yes, in Norwalk, we're up to 1,544 cases. The state site, which tends to lag a little bit behind us because we get information from locally that may not be in the system yet. And we have 72 citizens in Norwalk that have passed away. Those are not just numbers. The number 72 is very frightening, very sad. When we think of these are mothers and fathers, husbands, wives, daughters, sons, people that their death impacts many other people in our city. Absolutely.
And, that's why the governor is working on a regional basis, which I think is smart to do. He has put together the committee with Paul Mounds as chief of staff and Indra Nui, who used to be the head of Pepsi, who lives in Greenwich, and Dr. Albert Coe, who's an epidemiologist at Yale. As a matter of fact, he's going to be my guest next Wednesday night. And I would hope you would all join me then he's again the co-chair of this Connecticut effort to reopen the economy, and really just an outstanding person, smart as a whip, obviously, and has a lot of good information and looking at things from all different angles. So, but we have to make sure that we're doing this the right way. Okay, Mayor, we have some questions here. I know we have a good crowd watching us tonight, and so we have a lot of folks saying hello. This is why if people are watching me look back and forth, it's just because I'm looking at my iPad because I have the camera on my laptop and just looking at all the different hellos and thank yous and everything else. So it's nice that people appreciate the updates and they're looking for us for information, and which is great. So we're trying to provide the most accurate information possible. Mayor, this one question says daily updates are good. However, where can we find running totals to track our progress? Thanks. And that's from Joe. I think it's all on the website.
Yeah, we try to put it out on the website and the daily briefings. And I know, Senator, you have information put out on a daily basis as well. So to really track perhaps what we need to do a little bit more effectively is maybe each day, say in the briefing, there are 6 more additional cases, or there were so many more than yesterday. It might be helpful. What we have right today, between yesterday and today, there were only 6 more cases of positive tests. There was, unfortunately, 1 more death. So maybe we can try to put that in that manner, which would give an idea of how we're trending.
Yeah, and the hospitalizations being down are good. I know Dr. Koh is very concerned about the second wave and potential third wave. Yeah. So we have to be very, very careful about that, which is why reopening too soon doesn't make sense, which is why we're going to see in other states probably a high reinfection rate in those states. But we can't shut ourselves down for the next 18 months. So we've got to find that balance somewhere. And I know everybody's working on it very hard. Ingenuity, yesterday we have at least weekly, sometimes twice a week calls as legislative leaders with Dr. Cohen, Ingenuity, and Paul Mounds. And she was joking how she's literally on the phone or on Zoom from 8 in the morning to 11 o'clock at night. And she's doing it for her love of the state. And so we appreciate that. And we know that, that information is going to get to all of us as well. Julie says, we as staff at local nursing home are grateful for the state of Connecticut protecting and mandating regulations. Notre Dame is grateful. Thank you for all you do. Our community needs these guidelines. Thanks for making these difficult but needed decisions. Thank you, Julie. And we love Notre Dame. And Mara, you've probably been there a bunch of times yourself, right? Saying hi to sisters and everyone.
Sister Lucy.
That's right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
She's a doll.
Absolutely. Okay. Hi, Katie Banzoff is here. My mom is here. Hello. And my mother says, Mayor Rilling, stay strong.
Thank you. Thank you, Joanne.
She's always count on my mom to be one of the viewers. That's good. I always know I get one person to watch.
Well, my wife is watching too, so.
Oh, that's good. Hi, Lucy. How are you? Leah says, are they allowing people to go into an airport to travel on an airplane? I think so. I don't think there's right. That's essential. That's considered essential right now. Let's see. And so you can do that. I'm still just going through. Okay. If Rosanna says, if a grocery store has employees that have been tested positive for coronavirus, should they close to disinfect? I'm sorry, I just lost your question. Oh, hang on one second, I'll get it. Should they close to disinfect the store? Also, why hasn't it been reported to the public if employees have contacted the virus? Okay, so on that, I think whatever the CDC guidelines say, so if somebody has COVID and they test positive in the store, that's why the contact tracing is going to be so important and on a big scale, and that's one of the things we need before we can reopen. Stores should be cleaned if there is somebody who has COVID, but don't forget, up to half the cases of COVID are people who are asymptomatic. So lots of people have probably been in contact with all of us who may be positive for COVID, and we don't even know because they're asymptomatic. I'm not sure if they need to report every single one, because in high traffic places like grocery stores, you're going to have that, unfortunately, which is why we're trying to protect our grocery store employees so much. They are a first responder as well, and essential employees. They're putting their lives on the line, and we've seen grocery store folks losing their lives working for us. So as I tell people all the time, buy twice as much, shop half as often. That way you're not in the store so much. If you can order online, order online. And actually we've seen toilet paper and paper towel rebound back. So you can go to the stores. Have you seen that, Mayor?
We're seeing it, right? Absolutely. When I drive around the city a lot, and I sit in the parking lot sometimes, just watch what's happening with the stores. And I want people to know we are also sending in inspectors from our health department randomly to some of the bigger retail stores to make sure that they are abiding by the guidelines, the governor's executive orders, our local executive orders. And yes, Senator, yesterday I was in a parking lot of ShopRite, and my wife and I ride around town and look at what's going on. And one of us will go into the store rather than both. And while she was in the store, I'm looking and I saw people coming out with toilet paper. Today, I was able to get a can of Lysol spray to help disinfect some of the areas. But so stuff is the critical items, the high demand items are starting to make a rebound.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that. Helen asked, what other states is Connecticut working with? And we're working with Rhode Island, Massachusetts, New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Delaware, Maryland, and Maryland. So I think, yes.
Yeah,
Was that right? I think those are all the states.
Yeah.
Okay, Mayor, this one is for you. When will Taylor Farm, Cranberry Park, and the beach reopen?
as soon as we possibly can. As I mentioned earlier, we have a transition plan in place, or starting to work on a transition plan, but we have to do it based on good professional medical advice. My Recreation and Parks Director, Nick Roberts, is starting to work on a plan on how we can start to ease some of the restrictions. But I caution people, and I know the vast majority of people really get it, and they're very responsible, but there are others who just don't seem to think that this is a critical situation. A beach in California opened up, and 40,000 people went to the beach, and they had to close it the very next day because they were not adhering to social distancing. So when we start to open up the beaches, when we start to open up the parks, hopefully within the next week and a half to 10 days, or if the medical professionals are saying it's safe to do so, we hope that people abide by those guidelines. If you're out in public and you cannot keep that social distance, please wear a face covering. And the police department and others will be observing to make sure that we're going to, that people are adhering to those guidelines. So I'm thinking, the governor said May 20th is when we're going to start taking a look at things. I believe there are some parks and beaches that are starting to open up. We will start looking at what we can do, and hopefully do it within the next, like I said, maybe a week and a half, 10 days, or a week and a half or 2 weeks.
Right. Okay. Thank you. Lori asked, when will there be testing open to all? That's a great question. Actually, that's an excellent question for Dr. Coe next week. So hold that question for next week. The reason I say that is because what we hear all the time is that there's more and more testing coming around. There's more equipment coming, but there's also lots of different kinds of testing as well. So it's a matter of really trying to find the best kind of testing and the quickest. Because there's only, labs, every lab is backed up at this point, whether it's a state lab or private labs. So we need to be able to do more kinds of testing on site. And that's one of the ways we can reopen the economy, is have much more testing. I think we want to do something like 30,000 tests a week. But again, that's a great question for Dr. Coe. I think he can answer that much, much better than I can. Lori asked, notice on a nice day, lots of traffic going towards the beach. Is there anywhere to park and hang out? Is this area frequently monitored?
Yes, we're trying to be as lenient as we possibly can. So there were people parked along Canfield Road the other day, and nobody was given a ticket. We understand that people want to go to the beach. The main problem was when the beach was open to vehicle traffic, and we had hundreds and hundreds of cars in the beach, and people were just not maintaining that physical distance. If people park down at Marvin School and want to walk to the beach, we ask that you don't park in the individual neighborhoods because that's really inconvenient to the people that live there. We know we had to close down Spar Road along Beach Road and other Island Drive because people were parking in there, and it was just inconvenient. So if people are parking along Canfield Road, they park in Marvin School, we're trying to just kind of be as lenient as we possibly can because we know people want to get to the beach.
Right. And the reason why Duff was closed, and it was a hard decision, I'm sure, is because of the fact that this virus is so contagious. We cannot treat this casually. We have to understand that this is a very, very serious disease. And while, we all want to get out and exercise, and I think exercising is important for our physical and our mental health, we have to be very, very careful about how close we get to people and crowding in or anything else. So again, as tough as these decisions were, and as much as many people are out there who abide by the rules, we can't have 80% compliance. We've got to have 100% compliance.
Right.
Okay. Hi, Bob. Hi, Mayor Rilling. Which businesses in Norwalk that are now closed would be the first allowed to open when deemed appropriate? You want to take that? I'm happy to take it, whichever.
Yeah, a lot of the businesses are now closed because of the governor's executive orders. We took some action early on with hair salons, barbershops, and believe me, I need a haircut more than I've ever needed one in many, many years. But nail salons, hair salons, barbershops, tattoo parlors, massage spas, we felt it was necessary to close them down. I think as we go along, there are some stores, obviously retail stores that are now open. We're going to have to look at each one individually. I could imagine that when we ease the restrictions on the barbershops and hair salons, that we're going to still require that they take some special precautions, whether it's face coverings, whether it's gloves, whether it's a limited number of people in the establishment at any given time. Those are all things that we're going to have to base our decisions on. So it's hard to answer which ones, and Senator, you probably can answer that as well as anybody else, because of a lot of these are closed by executive order of the governor.
Yeah, right, exactly. So it's part of the issue is you can't open the city of Norwalk and have New York State closed and everybody's going to come to Norwalk, or vice versa. So that's why it's important that we're working in a regional basis. So I think you'll see you'll see things open on a regional basis rather than just a city by city or state by state. Because again, if say New York opened up its restaurants, everybody be going to New York to go out to eat. If the Connecticut restaurants opened up before New York did, everybody flocks to this area. Or same thing if it were Litchfield County versus Fairfield County. So that's part of the delicate dance on how to balance this out the best possible way that we can. Let's see here. Joe Malizia asked, Bob, having a problem waiting for SBA PPP. I've been able to complete the application. And I know you have 8 employees, and I know that's very tough. So PPP, as you know, is a federal program, not one that I have any control over as a state legislator. And it's been a really, really tough. It's a great program. It's just been very tough because, as you know, and I know many other business people who are counting on that money to come in, and the system has been overloaded, not enough people, and it's not happening fast enough. So feel free to contact me personally, and I will have you reach out to Congressman Himes' office to see if they can provide any additional information for you on that, because this PPP is very important, but it has not been running as well as I think anybody had wanted to. So, all right, Tony, thank you for your kind words. I appreciate all the thumbs up. Let's see. Louis Mora is trying to get an SBA program. Yeah, I'll have to check with you on that one about any other programs that are being offered. There are some that are being offered, by the way, too, if you're self-employed or part of the gig economy. April 30th is when you can apply for unemployment. Let's see. Okay, green online discipline comment. Yep. Hey, here's a good one. This isn't a question, it's a comment, Mayor. It says, where can folks get great online distance learning content for homeschooling? Hint, the Maritime Aquarium. So just go to maritimeaquarium.org. Actually, I sent out an email last week to everybody about different places in the area where you can find great information, like the Norwalk Historical Society, the Rowan Historical Society, Maritime Aquarium, Stepping Stones. I don't want to miss anybody. All has great resources for things to do online to keep your kids kind of happy and engaged and all that kind of good stuff. So let's see. Somebody said, any thought of doing one of these in Espanol with an interpreter? Yes. I know Lucia has been doing a great job in translating the Mayor's Code Reds. And by the way, Mayor, why don't you tell people about your Code Reds? You do those from time to time. Well, yes,
thank you. And you can get on the city website, sign up for Code Red. It's a reverse 911 call, and we use it when there's important information that we want to impart to the community. It's a very simple process. You sign up, you can sign up, you can get it on your cell phone, your home phone, you can get it on your computer. And we put it out on a regular basis based on any given situation that we have. Generally, we were using it for weather-related issues, pending hurricanes or blizzards or anything of that nature. But lately, we've been using it more frequently for the COVID-19 and the coronavirus situation. And my wife also puts out things on Facebook. When we do a code red, she'll put things out on Facebook, or we'll do a code red together. The difficulty is that we are limited to 2 minutes and 30 seconds. So if I give a statement and then she tries to follow in Spanish, we don't get much information out. So we're going to try to correct that as well. But believe me, my wife is always working behind the scenes and trying to get out front with information to the Latino community, because we know how important it is, and they're a big part of our community. So we're working on that, and we're working on some of our, when I do a hometown meeting, a town hall meeting, it will be translated into Spanish.
Great, thank you. And I just heard the other day that Zoom you can't do it on the free app, but if like this one we have in their native language, that would be great. It's a really important way of getting information out. Let's see. Thanks, Carmelo, for your kind words. Let's see. There's one other question. I think we'll take one more. Where can we apply for the unemployment extension program? DTDOL website said it's coming, but has not been updated weeks. I would just say, send me an email directly, send me a message on here, and I'll give you my email address. We'll have to ask the department on that, your specific question. There's a good FAQ section if you go to filectui.com. There's a FAQ section, maybe that's what you're looking at and hasn't been updated for some reason. But regardless, send me an email and we'll send it to the department and get you an answer on that. Let's see, Celia asks, has anyone heard about what will happen with farmers markets? Haven't heard that yet. I will say I was on a Zoom last night with the Connecticut Farm Bureau. They have a lot of food. They're hurting a lot right now. And I'm not just talking about terra pharma firms. I'm talking about people like Cops Island, like Norm Bloom and Son. And they have a lot of product and they're not being able to use it right now. So they have lots of strawberry, some of the farmers I know, have the strawberry picking like a Jones, blueberry picking, our oysters and clams, things like that. There's a lot of product out there right now. So we're working hard to make sure that the farmers markets and other ways that we help our residents here in Connecticut get the food that they need and get homegrown food. So I think that's we need to definitely do that. So that was a very good question. All right, I think that's it for now. We've had a good audience. Thank you, Mayor. Again, any final words?
No, thank you, Senator. And again, I just want people to know that we are constantly working many hours a day on conference calls. The Senator and I talk on the phone at least 3 to 4 or 5 times a day or more. My staff is working very diligently. We're on the phones. The Senator and I are on the phones with our federal delegation, our local Common Council. We're working hard to make sure that we get through this and we get through this safely. We will come out on the other side much stronger than we went in, more prepared for any future events. And again, I want to thank all the public for their cooperation and for doing the things that we know they need to do in order to stay safe. This is a community-wide effort. It's a statewide effort. It's a nationwide effort, and it's a global impact. So let's get through this. Let's do what we have to do and get through this Norwalk strong.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate that. Thank you, Lucia, for your comment. So thank you, Mayor. Thank you to your team for all their work. You have a really good team around you.
You bet I do.
24/7. So they're really, really great. We've got a good team.
Yep.
In our caucus as well, and we've done a lot of work to cooperate with the governor. And I will say also as a bipartisan legislative leadership team, we were working hard as well with the governor's folks and the federal delegation as well. So I say that only to let people know that federal and state and city are all in constant communications. We're all working together. We're all working to make this get answers for folks and ensure that we are doing everything we can to help people because it is a stressful time. So
Yes, it
As I
is.
always tell people, take a break from the news, go for a walk,
Oh, yeah.
get your make sure you're getting your physical exercise, take care of yourself and your families, be smart, be safe, listen to the medical experts, and try not to stress about this. We're all doing everything we can to help. So again, we appreciate everybody spending some time with us. We've kept a good audience for the whole time, and we're so grateful to have all of you here. So next Wednesday at 7:00, I'll have Dr. Albert Coe from Yale. I will be doing Instagram Live this Sunday, as I always do, at 7:00 as well. Zoom doesn't do Instagram with other people, so it's just Tom solo on Sunday. But taking your questions there as well. So again, thank you all. Thank you, Mayor. And we'll see you next time. Take care.
Thank you, Senator. Thank you so much.